Evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for the Charlestown City Council. It's October 3rd, 2022, 6:30 p.m. We will begin as we usually do with our Pledge of Allegiance, but we have a couple of special guests here tonight to help lead that. Kylie Dunaway, who is a 5th grade student at Jonathan Jennings Elementary, and Riley Medina, a 5th grade student at Sacred Heart, were caught in the act doing something really fantastic at Community Days in September. I was sitting waiting for the fireworks to start, and I noticed 2 young girls walking by with a bucket picking up trash. And no one forced them, asked them anything to do this. They just were walking through on their own picking up trash. And it struck me. It's exactly the kind of service that we want to applaud in the city. The thing that potentially sets us apart, I think, is that community spirit. And so I didn't know who they were, but through the magic of social media, I did just a post, and it wasn't even 24 hours before someone identified who these young women were and put me in touch with their parents. And so I thought it would be appropriate to invite them here before the council tonight to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And so Kylie and Riley, if you'll come forward. That's cool. And if everyone will rise, we will let Kylie and Riley lead us in our pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have as a thank you for you some certificates. Because like I said, it's worth noting, right? So Kylie and Riley, and we had these challenge coins that we've been giving out for special occasions. And on the back of the coin, it says this challenge coin recognizes outstanding contributions to the city of Charlestown. So I want each of you to have one of those. All right. Moms, is it okay? You guys want to get a group picture real quick? We could get the council everybody to come down. Y'all will just kind of, where is it? Just right here. You'll just stand right here in front, and we'll just all line up behind you guys. You can hold your certificates up, and we'll. Donna, you want to come down? Scoot in, everybody.
Yep.
Here we go. I think we got a couple cell phones. Okay. All right. Thanks, ladies, so much. Have a wonderful night. Yeah. Keep that spirit. Okay. Thank you for that. And then we did not have anyone sign up for our invitation, but as usual, I will not deny the opportunity for someone to lead one if someone wants to volunteer.
Is that invocation?
Yep. Like everybody's looking at you.
Hey, I'll pray. Let's bow our heads. God, we come to you tonight just grateful for another opportunity to be together and figure out what's best for our community, what's best for our families, what's best for our city. God, we're grateful for the seasons as the weather starts to change, and we're just reminded of your awesome power. And even though you're the creator of the universe and the seasons, that you still care for each of us individually, and we're grateful for that. God, be with us tonight. Guide our decisions, guide our interactions. Lord, guide our hearts. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. We'll have our roll call. District 1, Bill Bertram.
Here.
District 2, Ricky Jackson. Here. District 3, BJ Steele.
Here.
Ryan Hester is unable to be here tonight. And then at-large JT Cox.
Present.
Also, of course, let the record show that presiding officer Mayor Hodges is present, as well as clerk treasurer Donna Coomer. And then we have our council attorney Michael Gillenwater and our city attorney Terry McCall here as well. We have the agenda. However, we do need to make a couple of additions or changes to the agenda. First off, we need to add ordinance 2022 OR 21. This was noted on the original agenda that went out. It is the rezone for the Depot Street / now Forest Edge property. And that was emailed out later by Tony Jackson. And then we also, under the public hearing, we have properly advertised, but it just was not left off the agenda, that there is a public hearing tonight for the BOT award for the Depot Street utility relocation. So with those things in mind, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Make a motion.
I have a motion by BJ Steele, seconded by Ricky Jackson. Any questions or other edits? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. You have your standing business that's been presented, the approval of our prior meeting minutes from September 7th, our current claims and our payroll allowance docket from September 5th to September 25th. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by JT Cox,
Second.
seconded by BJ Steele. Any questions or discussion?
I do have a question. We were sent one and it had some wording in it, and then we were sent another and the wording was taken out. So I just want to clarify. I think the wording was wrong.
Yes,
One employee received a 20% raise, that should have been worded correct. One is being asked a 23% raise is what was said.
right, but it was so muddled within the
I
paragraph
agree.
that there was a correction made to correct the actual
But the
language.
23% was taken out. So I just want to,
Because in the context, where she's documenting the minutes, she was talking about the raises that had already been given at the mid-year, not about the raises that were being proposed. So the number was removed because it was inaccurate for
Okay.
that context.
okay. And then the one about the vote, let me find it. Yeah,
Page 3.
page 4. Okay, the motion was made by BJ.
Yes,
He voted yes, and the other three, but that's not it. When they did the new one, it didn't say, it just said 3 nays. It should have said 1 for and 3 against, correct? And it didn't say that.
the incorrect version had that the motion had been made twice. And so
Right.
there was no need to have that redundancy because the motion was only made once. And so it corrected that the motion was made and seconded, and then just the accurate count of the vote.
But it didn't say it was 3 to 1. It just said if there was 3 nays, so it should have said 3 to 1. It should have,
Said 4 then.
or 4, it should have acknowledged his.
So you're saying that needs to be changed now?
It needs to be added, yeah, he was a yay, we
Yes,
were nay.
okay.
Just for consistency, I think it needs to be.
So the correction would be that on the vote on the elected officials' salary ordinance, that there were 3 in favor and 1 against.
Yes.
Okay, we'll make note of that and make that change.
Okay.
So calling for the vote with those amendments to the minutes.
I make that motion.
Or we already have the motion.
I-
Just need
I
to
need
vote.
to-
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. You make that. Yes. I don't, has anyone signed up for public comment? I don't believe. I saw anyone signed up. I think not. Okay. Ethan Biggs is fall break.
Good for him.
So he's not with us tonight.
He's on the beach.
Right, mayor's comments, and since we have a packed agenda, I really have nothing unless the council has any questions for me. Moving on to council comments, we can combine those two. We good? Great. Okay, so at this time, I will officially open the public hearing portion for the Depot Street utility relocation build, operate, transfer agreement. The public hearing for the utility relocation for the Depot Street / Forest Edge utility relocation officially open. If anyone has any remonstrance at this time, raise your hand. I'm not seeing anything, so I'll officially close the public hearing portion for the utility relocation. Here. And then also in the interest of not paying attorneys, no offense Matt, longer than we have to pay attorneys, we have a couple of items that we can actually move forward in the agenda on our ordinances and resolutions. Meaning that we would first jump down to the end to resolution 2022 R9, which approves that award for that public-private agreement with the Depot Street utility relocation. Who is going to speak on that tonight, if anyone?
I am.
Okay, come forward.
Good evening, my name is Matt Duncan with Frost Brown Todd. I'm here on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission today. Bo was in front of you a month or 2 ago, I believe, to talk about the Shadow Lake DOT award. So as you guys know, under the ordinance that the council adopted, the DOT statute, the council reserved the power to actually make the award under the DOT agreement. And so basically what this does is it awards the BOT project to GM Development Companies LLC in an amount not to exceed $650,000. So as you guys are probably aware, there was a development agreement between the City Redevelopment Commission and Forest Edge LLC. And so the City and Redevelopment Commission are contractually obligated to, among other things, relocate certain wastewater collection lines that were in the way of that development. And so basically what this BOT agreement does is it hires a developer to relocate those wastewater collection lines. This resolution also authorizes various officers of the commission to negotiate, finalize, and sign the closing documents, which are essentially the BOT agreement and just one or two other documents. So that's basically what it does. And the big difference here is that it's being paid with cash on hand by the Redevelopment Commission. So there's no TIF pledge or other type of pledge present in this resolution. So.
Having heard the presentation of Resolution 2022 R9, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I have a motion from BJ Steele, for a second.
Second.
Seconded by JT Cox. Any questions or discussion?
I have a few little questions. So if I understand it right, the water lines relocation is Indiana American Water is going to do that, and then the redevelopment is going to cover the cost of, in a BOT,
The wastewater.
cover the wastewater part of it. Is there, how much, is there contingency in there for Camp Bow or Camp?
It's a not to exceed amount of $650,000.
Yeah, so there is some contingency built in. I believe the project amount is estimated to be somewhere between $600,000 and $650,000, I believe.
Okay, and so it cannot go over 650, that's where the contingency is.
Correct, or we'd have to go back to council for approval.
Okay, and then is there a bond and who carries the bond?
There is no bond. As he said, this is being paid
Paid
for with
for out
cash
front.
revenue from the Redevelopment Commission.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Also, in the interest of time and attorneys, we'll go ahead and take that rezoning, so ordinance 2022 OR 21 forward. And then who was presenting, was anybody presenting on that one? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Hodges, City Council, good to be here. I'm John Campbell with Heritage Engineering, 603 North Shore Drive, Suite 204, Jeffersonville, Indiana. Also with me tonight is Clayton Pace. Clayton is the President of Development with Denton Floyd. We do have a PowerPoint presentation. Additionally, I brought handouts if you would like to have a copy tonight. Clayton can pass
Anybody
those
would like a
out.
hard copy?
If you want, I can go ahead and start while you pass those around. Next slide, please. So the depot site, it is a redevelopment site of just over 9 acres. It is existing zoning is B1, which is a business classification, and what we are proposing to do is to rezone this to a PUD zoning with an R4 type base zoning. And this is to allow this development to be integrated into the heart of Charlestown, the downtown area, by allowing for a multifamily development to be placed on the site in a way that really truly connects with the neighborhood. And we can do that, and I'll go over the design a little bit. We designed that in a way that it connects to that downtown core as well as creates a street facade along Highway 62 with the new buildings along there, which we thought was very important. So while the PUD requirements modifies portions of the R4 multifamily zoning, it also captures changes to apply that zoning category to a more urban setting, which is appropriate, which we feel is appropriate for this location. As part of the PUD document, and I do have an extra copy of those PUD changes. Clayton can hand those out if you want to see those. I'm sure they were included in your packet from the Planning Commission meeting. But we broke that out, the specific areas that we're changing in that document of the R4 zoning. You'll see that listed throughout, but it lists to the left side is the proposed PUD changes, and then to the right side is the code requirements, just so you have an understanding of specifically what we're changing. So again, as part of that PUD document, we have included that comparison table so that you can see the specific changes we're proposing and how they relate to the code. For example, while we are modifying the landscape buffer widths, again, this is a more downtown setting. That R4 zoning just didn't really apply to this type of setting, so we're tightening up those widths. But as you look through that document, you'll also see that the planting requirements and the fencing requirements, for example, we're not changing that. All the landscaping required typically in an R4 will continue to be planted as part of this project, as well as a commitment we made at the Planning Commission, or a clarification that was always part of the document. Any properties that directly abut adjacent residential will have a 6-foot high solid wood fence. So those specific requirements did not change. What I would like to do is kind of go through the plan if we can. And again, I know you're not necessarily reviewing the development plan, but at the Planning Commission meeting as well as tonight, we think it's important to kind of conceptually show the intent that went into the design and what our design will be going forward as we take that to a development plan for development plan approval. Let me see, so go back a little bit if you don't mind. Sorry about that. So we have started the preparation of both the development plan and the landscape plan. I did bring full-size copies of those if anybody would like to see them tonight. I know you're not necessarily reviewing that, but we just wanted to kind of give you a snapshot of where we were at. Next slide, please. So this is a conceptual plan that we had put together. The project in general, there's been a little bit of some design changes, so bear with me. For purposes of orientation, this is at a slight skew, but for the most part, the top of the page there, right by where it says site layout, is where kind of your downtown core is. And then along the bottom, kind of bottom to the right of the page is Highway 62 with the fuel center that everyone kind of knows there on the corner of Market Street and Highway 62 down in that bottom left corner. So our design that we put together was to place two 3-story buildings with 24 units each. Those are kind of shown there along Highway 62, and that's creating that street wall that I talked about. So as you kind of come and go into town, you'll see buildings and not necessarily parking. And then additionally, we have a 4-story building located there central to the site. And again, we position that, and that's designed in a way that additionally creates that street wall there along Highway 62. We have a total of 206 units total with 312 parking spaces, and that's at a parking ratio of just a little bit over 1.5 per unit. The design that we do is kind of a resort style. I referred to it at the public hearing as a resort style development, and what that means, what Den Floyd has been doing is enhanced landscaping, and they specifically do a great amount of focus in their clubhouse, pool, and the amenities in general. So that previous slide, I had noted some enhanced buffers there along, kind of along the Harrison Street, as well as along some residential areas. And then additionally, we've included a dog park, kind of in that top right-hand corner. And then you'll see right there in the middle, kind of flagged in, is that generalized landscape, open space, and amenity area. So as I mentioned there in the center of the site, and this is a design element that we've really done a great job, and Den Floyd does a great job of developing. They kind of create these clubhouse and entryways as a focal point to their project. So the clubhouse is kind of centrally located. And the clubhouse does include a community room, a fitness center, a mail room, and a cyber cafe. This project in particular, and based on its proximity with the downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods. This project also had a unique opportunity to include kind of a courtyard design. And what that did was allow us to wrap that proposed building around this amenity space. And as an amenity, that is a benefit to the neighbors because it provides a buffer to those surrounding uses. So I'm going to run through some examples. This is kind of an example clubhouse and the types of landscaping that they will capture as part of this project. These slides aren't specific to the clubhouse proposed here, but this is the level of landscaping that they do and capture as part of kind of their entryways, focal points, and certainly around their clubhouse. Additionally, they have a pool amenity area, and you heard me use the term resort amenities. I mean, all projects have pools anymore, so Denton Floyd as a developer has taken it to that next level. So some examples that I'll run through here as part of this kind of pool area. Their pools include resort-style pavers. You'll see that there just to give it more visual interest. And then additionally, they have outdoor kitchen areas, as well as generous seating areas. And within those seating areas, there's of course the typical lounge chairs that you have with a pool deck. But additionally, they include cabanas, hammocks, and a poolside rain garden. And then additionally, fire pit areas. And one of the benefits that Denton Floyd does, you'll see these fire pits are kind of elongated with sitting areas, and it's for the residents in general, but it's also intended to be a community draw to have different residents come together, get to know each other, intermingle. And then lastly, they certainly include a pergola as an amenity in that pool area, and then just for a little bit of activity, a nice putting green for residents to use. So here is the actual artistic illustration of the pool amenity deck for this project, as well as the building, kind of the wrap building that I mentioned there that wraps around the amenity space. To the right there, you'll see their actual clubhouse. Now this is the backside, more internal. They certainly have that nice front entry on the other side there on the parking lot side. So the building design, the next two slides just kind of show the proposed building. The first, the view that was just there is the clubhouse, which included kind of looking through to the building in behind, and then the amenity spaces in behind there to the rear. And then this is the 3-story buildings that are located along Highway 62. The building materials, it is a combination of brick and hardy plank siding material, and there is no vinyl siding proposed with this project. And then the last item, and this one certainly isn't as exciting, but it is important to the community. As part of this project, Denton Floyd has agreed through the state's request to fill in a 3-lane section. There's currently an NDOT project to widen and redo Highway 62 to the northeast of Charlestown. And then the existing intersection is kind of a 3-lane section with turn lanes. So this project proposes to connect those two missing segments so that when you traverse through here, you'll have the 3-lane section, which is traffic 1 lane in each direction with a center turn lane there for this project. That will also be of a benefit to the projects to the south. So that is the project in general. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have, and Clayton Pace is also here and would certainly be happy to answer any questions you may have as well.
Are there any questions?
Do you guys have a breakdown of like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom?
I did not bring it with me because we're not fully
Right.
finalized on the development plan, but I will share as kind of a market. Denton Floyd tends to do 25% 1-bedrooms, 50% 2-bedrooms, and then 25% 3-bedrooms. I want to say in this one that number might be a little bit skewed.
It will fluctuate because it's the 3 bedrooms. There's two outbuildings, which is the garden style,
Uh-huh.
one on the left and to the right, the one on the right is a 2-3 bedroom. We'll have some in the wrap building, but not the 25% that we typically place on a development. But we're still in the design process
Right.
of that.
Okay.
But I think we're within 5% of that
Mhm.
number, just for clarification. Okay.
And I asked earlier, and I think Tony's here now, so are we within, for the 1.5, it's about 1 car per, what's our, do we have a ordinance on that, or what it should be, or are we within, it just seems, I don't know of any household that only have 1 car, so I'm just concerned if there's not enough cars there, so.
So it is, we are changing that as part of the plan to be 1, and I apologize, I tried to break that out, similar to the way it is in the code that you have. I broke it out to be 1 car per unit, and then for visitor space, which was wrote down right below that. Let me see where that
When I was
was.
hearing that, is that me?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. We're all hearing it. Oh.
Somebody took it down. Thank you.
IT guy, do you know what that is?
It's, I was gonna say, it's, your microphone, the one you touched.
Yeah, I just did that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pulling in through that back speaker is what it's doing. There you go.
So John, can you tell them what their ordinance is?
Yeah,
what
and bear with me for just a moment, let me find it here. Okay, on page 2, number 5, in that first box, so your code is 2 per unit and then plus 1 per 7 units, which is an abundance of parking and certainly not what is anticipated being needed here and not what we're seeing as a kind of a community standard for pretty much every other apartment community we're doing. That ratio is comfortably anywhere between 1.5 spaces to 2 spaces. In a more suburban setting, 2 spaces would be more common because you have to rely on your car more often. You bring people into town, both people in the place may not need a dual car, so that number tends to go down. So the way I restructured this was to basically get to that 1.5 parking spaces per unit, but I kind of broke it out similar to the way your code reads, which is 1 space per unit plus 1 visitor space per every 2 units. Whereas your code is 2 per unit plus 1 per 7 units for visitor. Now, that's not, they don't put signage up to separate the visitors parking from the residents parking. It's kind of all just shared parking. So at the end of the day, that kind of combined number
It's gotta be his mic.
is the more,
Just raise the rate.
Try to fix it, sit down.
that more combined number is the more appropriate number of 1.5 spaces per unit. So I apologize if that created some confusion, but trying to match it up to how your code is kind of structured.
My only concern is the neighbors around, like we're not parking to where we're intruding on their spaces, and that's my.
And we feel comfortable with that 1.5 per unit. As Clayton said, the 3-bedroom units are actually, most of them are tucked down in the 3-story buildings, which helps and would minimize any impacts to the north into the town or into that area.
And any neighbor adjacent properties, remember, we have a 6-foot fence between them. So it would take quite an effort for them to park outside the facility.
Any other questions? Hearing none, before us is the ordinance 2022 OR 21, a rezoning of the Depot Street / Forest Edge property from B1 business to a planned unit development. Entertained motion to approve.
Motion.
I have a motion by DJ Steele. Is there a second? Seconded by Bo Bertram. Any additional questions at this time? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Since it is unanimous, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules in anticipation that we would pass this on its second and final reading tonight.
Make motion.
I have a motion by BJ Steele, is there a second? Seconded by Ruthie Jackson. Any questions on the motion to suspend? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous, so then we'll call for the second and final reading for the rezone for the Depot Street / Forest Edge property from B1 Business to Plan Unit Development. Do I have that motion?
Make motion.
Motion made by BJ Steele. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ruthie Jackson. Last chance for questions. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you so much.
Is that the last one? Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move back up to the top of our ordinance list. First up is 2022 OR 15, the budget ordinance that was approved on first reading at our last meeting. Entertain a motion to approve it second and final reading.
Make that motion.
I have a motion by Ruthie Jackson. Is there a second? Second by Bo Bertram. Questions or discussion?
And that's with the contingency of, I think the only thing we changed was the 2,000.
Yes, and that was changed. Yes, ma'am. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Sorry, I'm getting my shuffle of papers here. Next up would be the salary ordinance 2022 OR 16, increase in the maximum compensation for city employees. That motion was tabled at the last meeting, so bringing it forward, it has previously had the motion and the second, it was just tabled, so bringing it back to the floor for any discussion before the vote.
Make motion. I didn't know if that was what you put.
Yeah, I was just, we've already had, so it was motion and seconded at the last meeting and we tabled it, so it's back before the council now, so
For discussion.
this would be the discussion period, yes.
Okay, yeah, just, I think it was a revised, what I'm proposing, not we, after talking to a couple of the council, we have, did some revisions to it, I think everybody got that. So I think that's where we're at with it right now, just the revisions that we sent out.
So is that a motion to change to revisions?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Any questions?
I do want to make a point of clarification about the budget. So often in our conversations, both the last meeting and even tonight discussing the minutes, there's this 23% keeps getting thrown out that there is an employee that's been recommended for 23%. And I think that oversimplifies what's happened with that position. And I wanted to make sure, I know I got to speak to 2 council members about this, and I wanted to make sure that everybody's clear what happened with that position. So in 2019, that position was the sports director, and the program, kind of coordinated program, sports related. And the max there was $41,500 a year for that position. It's not an hourly position, it's a salary exempt position. And then when we all came in together in 2020, we actually reduced that position by 35%. That position went from $41,500 to $27,040. And we changed the position to an assistant role to see if that would fit, would work. So it actually went through a 35% reduction in 2020 from where it was in 2019. And then that position received a 2% raise like they did that year, and then the raise. And so when the last person to hold the assistant position left mid-year 2021, we left the position vacant to figure out what we were going to do. And with the council's recommendations for sports programming and things like that, and the community's recommendation for alternative programming in addition to sports programming, we decided that it would be best, in conversations with the department chair, to have a program coordinator. And so we brought the position back in, and we set the salary at $33,999 for that year as kind of a test to say, okay, is this person going to be able to do this job? Is this going to pay off? Is this going to have results? And in fact, over the course of the year, the results have been good. We've had 3 unique additions to the programming this year. We had the MLB camp, which was sports related. We had the science camp during spring break, and then we have in fall break, we have a theater camp. So it's appealing to multiple interests. Community feedback has been good. There's been a lot of work with that. And so that's why the recommendation to raise it back up to the 41, and actually 41.8 instead of 41.5. That's what's happening. So it's a little bit oversimplification to say that this is a 23% raise for a particular employee. Historically, it's re-establishing a position where if we had kept that position at the 41.5 over the past few years, then this actually represents a lesser raise than what we've been paying employees all along. So I just wanted to make that clarification. This isn't just a straight up, the version that we tabled last week that I presented was not just a straight up 23%. It's a restoration of a position for the amount of work and duties that are being done in that position. Are there other thoughts?
My only thought is, it's been said to me over and over that this person's working 55 to 60 hours a week and it's taking time away from her family. I don't think any employee in the city should be working 55 or 60 hours a week. We need to restructure, get help, restructure between the director and her. I don't know, but I don't think any employee should be, for the city of Charles County, should be working 55 to 60 hours a week. And that's what the average was told to me, was between 55 and 60 hours a week, which I can understand why they feel underpaid at working that many hours, but myself, I don't think any employee should be working that many hours and taking time away from their family.
Well, it's not standard that anybody in the city is working 55 to 60 hours per week. Now, on salary exempt positions, there's a give and take, there's a fluctuation. So some weeks they may work, we try to keep everybody at the 40, but then some weeks where there are festivals or programming they work extra, they're always encouraged to compensate that by taking a day off the next week or splitting days or those kinds of things. So I admittedly have not looked at the straight up average of the time, but that is something that is not being promoted or encouraged at all among any of our employees.
I'm just going by what was handed to me, and it was said that my average work week is 55 to 60 hours a week, and that's all I don't think any employee should, during Founder's Day, or I get that, but on average, if they're working that much, we need to restructure that and get them help, because that's
all of our salary exempt employees that are straight up salary have flex time, where those things are taken into consideration.
That wasn't stated.
We don't encourage that at all. In fact, on some of them, it was even on their employee evaluation that they need to take a vacation day. And as a reminder, the salary ordinance just sets the maximum amount that the salaries can be set at. Ultimately, the decision on who to pay what is done by me and these particular departments, and then of course by the clerk treasurer for our staff. So it's not that you're voting on the individual raises for the employees, you're voting on setting a maximum amount and then giving the executive the power to hire people at certain rates.
My 2 cents and kind of going through the history of the position, I think in budgets and paying salaries and anytime money's involved, like balance is a key component to it, but another component of it is that it's fiscally responsible, and if there needs to be further discussion or changes about jobs or job descriptions or roles or who's doing what or who's doing too much here, and compensating, I think that's all fair. I just struggle with the responsibility of increasing or giving the ability to increase a salary by that percentage it's a big jump to open up, I don't want to say can of worms, but just open up the ability to increase somebody's salary by that much. I think warrants more discussions and more look at what all's going on and who all is responsible for what. It's a big jump.
I understand but it looks like a big jump, but this is also historically not any different than the way that we've been managing the city for the past 3 years. So again, the salary ordinance just sets the maximum amount. So for instance, I'll give you another example. Previously, we had an employee, when I came on as mayor, who was working part-time but doing a really good job. And I gave the employee the opportunity to get a certification that would make that person eligible for full-time employment. And that person did that. And in January of 2021, the person came on board as a full-time employee and was set at $15 an hour, because that was within the range of the salary ordinance at the time, as kind of a test case to say, okay, can you do this? This is a big jump. Like, let's see how it goes. Within 3 months, that employee's direct supervisor came to me and said, this employee's doing a fantastic job and definitely deserves more money, and I warrant an increase. I sat down with our clerk treasurer. We came up with a number of 17. So within 3 months, that employee went from $15 an hour to $17 an hour because of work performance and skills. That employee stayed at that amount, got the regular raise, and then this year, mid-year, that employee came to me. That employee was only making a little over $17 an hour and pointed out the stellar record and the labor market and everything that had been going on and how everything was shaping up. And I said, okay, you're right. If you have this certification, you have this skill set, you're going to great lengths to hold this special certification. And so at that time, we raised that employee as well as any others who had that certification but are not at a minimum of 20 an hour. We raised them mid-year and gave them their merit increase early, mid-year. And so that was a total of, that affected 5 employees who received already the merit that they would have received at the end of this year. They went ahead and received that early because they were holding that certification. So you have an employee who went from 15 an hour to 20 an hour over a year and a half because of improvement. It didn't cause any kind of upset among the staff. In fact, there were several staff members who came on behalf of that employee and advocated for that employee to get that raise, to bring the employee more into alignment with what others in staff were making. And then we across the board made the increase so that others would see that as a measurable attainment. You have this license, you have the certification, you make a minimum of this amount. And so we did that. That affected 5. We had 3 employees this year that received mid-ranges because they took on a various new set of skills or responsibilities. So all total, you've already had 8 employees throughout the year who have received what would equate to their merit increase early. And so that's why those employees are only, in my model, in the recommended that was tabled last time, receiving 5%, because they've already received their merit increase. And so the others were asked to wait for the full year before they received their merit increase. And what it comes down to is under the model, under the ordinance that I proposed last time that was tabled, out of 24 employees that I have direct oversight over in the merit system that we adopted, and that all of them sat and were evaluated on, only 3 would not receive more than the 5%. And all 3 of those employees know why. They received needs improvement, or various disciplinary measures have been enacted. And they understand that. Only 3 out of 24. Under the revisions that were sent out and proposed earlier today, that number jumps to 6. 6 would only receive the 5% rather than the merit that they earned.
Are there any new certifications with that job?
With which job?
With the program or the one where it's the 23% increase?
Not a new certification, no, just a demonstration, a year's.
And so I understand certifications and degrees or more education warrants, that's a different conversation. In my opinion, that's a different conversation. And again, just my thoughts.
So right now, we have the table that was presented last time, and then we have a version that was presented by Councilwoman Jackson. I'm gonna need some direction from the council on where we wanna go from here.
Like
We
the
do-
order in which we vote or the order in which we present.
Are you asking for an opinion?
Sure.
I believe that what's been tabled has to be handled first, and if there's an amendment or a change, then that would be handled second in a fashion.
Well, that's why we amended though, I guess that's what I don't understand.
I think that you can amend what is before you, the ordinance is before you, and you can amend the ordinance if you would like. It's been presented to you at the last meeting that I didn't attend. It's what the minutes seem to indicate. So you can act on it this evening. If you want to amend it, you can amend it this evening.
Yeah, it was just tabled, correct?
Yes, it was just
It's just
tabled.
tabled, okay. All
So
right.
I would need some action from the council to amend it if that's what you
That
want to
is
do.
correct. If you want to change it, then you can amend it as you want and then vote on whether to approve that amendment.
So what do we need to do?
Is there an amendment?
Make
Is
a
there an amendment to
Did you
to the
amend it?
salary ordinance that was tabled at the last meeting?
Yes, there is an amendment, it's an amendment. It's
What
in
is
the-
that? And what is that amendment for the record?
Yes, and what is that amendment for the record?
Do you want us to go through each one of them?
Yeah, that's what you need to do.
Yes, that's what we need to do in order to,
Okay. Do I? Where's that salary on it?
if it helps, I can call out what was originally proposed in the table ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, the lead laborer, I think is, okay.
Well, are you making changes to, which ones are you wanting to make changes
We-
to?
Once you submit it to me, the lead laborers,
It's everybody though, because some we're gonna get a 7 or 8%.
every employee is going to get 5%.
Right, besides-
increase.
Yes.
You had proposed higher increase with lead laborers for the new ordinance, amended one. You're asking,
All but 7, there's 7 of them, and we're asking all but one of those to get a 10%. That's what we're imposing.
okay?
And then the one to stay with the 5%.
Okay, we just need to go through the amounts for the positions, because keep in mind, this is the salary ordinance, so the council is not voting on the individual raises for each individual employee. All you're voting on is the maximum amount that I'm allowed to pay the employees of that class, so there might be multiple people in a particular category. So does it help if I call out the maximum salary for down the list? Does that help you with your
Well, this
amendment?
is it. This is what we're proposing. That's the proposal, right?
It's, we're doing it, we have to state it for the record because it's an
Okay,
amendment.
all right.
So is that something, does that help you if I call those out and then you tell me what you want it to be?
However you want to do it. That's fine.
Okay, so going down the salary ordinance, the mayor's assistant proposed is $884.06 per week.
And the new one is 867, which is a 5%. 5%. 867.53.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to speak up a little bit.
867.53.
Okay, the reception is an hourly rate maximum of $17.50,
We have that at 1575.
$15.75. Under multimedia director, the proposed was $979.72 per week.
We have that as 9/10/36.
9/10/36. The director of city services, $1,103.91 per week.
1,103, we have that the same and the supervisor the same.
No change on the director of city services or supervisor. Lead laborer, $24.25 per hour.
We have that at 2360.
$23.60. Laborer, $21.30 per hour.
That's, yes, that's correct.
Part-time laborer, $20 per hour.
That's correct.
Director of parks, $905.86 per week.
We have 880, 893.
Program coordinator, $804.22 per week.
We have 719.22.
Park seasonal labor, $20 per
Yes.
hour. Under wastewater plant operator, $2,120.19 per week.
Yes.
No change.
No change.
Facilities manager, $38.65 per hour.
I don't see that.
That was a new added position.
That was the addition recommended by the sewer board.
It's not on here. I think we should, when that position comes up, then we can revisit it and edit the salary ordinance and add it to that.
So we removed that position from,
Yes.
to remove it. Okay. Lead laborer for wastewater, $26.25 per hour.
Yes,
Laborer for wastewater, $24.25 per hour.
yes,
Part-time laborer for wastewater, $20 per hour.
yes,
Board member for wastewater, $150 per meeting.
yes,
Secretary treasurer, $150 per meeting.
yes,
Stenographer, $150 per meeting.
yes.
Auxiliary support, $50 per meeting.
We have 25 per meeting.
On-call period is $50 additional compensation for the week period.
Yes,
Under clerk treasurer's office, first class deputy, $26.54 hourly.
yes,
Second class deputy, $21.68 hourly.
yes,
Utility billing for utilities clerk, there are two levels, one at $21.72 per hour,
yes,
one at $20.79 per hour.
yes,
Director of planning and zoning, $1,051.34 per week. Is that yes?
yes.
Building inspector, code enforcement, $23 per hour.
We have 22.
Police secretary, $22.14 per hour.
Yes,
Evidence technician, $1,092.42 per week.
yes,
And then you have your rank pay, your merit pay for your police officers labeled there. I'll go down the list. Chief and colonels, $1,382.24.
yes,
Assistant chief and major, $1,334.58.
yes,
Captain, $1,286.92.
yes,
Lieutenant, $1,239.25.
yes,
Sergeant, $1,191.59.
yes,
Corporal, $1,167.76.
yes,
Patrolman, $1,143.93.
yes,
With a uniform allowance of $1,400. Employees receive the wellness incentive as determined by the medical insurance provider, and then incentive bonus of up to $1,500. Okay. So we have a motion then from Councilwoman Jackson to amend the version to those amounts.
Second it, is that right?
And we have a second by J.T. Cox. On for the vote on accepting the amendments. All in favor of accepting the amendments? The amended, do we vote on the amendment? Would you rather us vote on the amendments first and then vote on the ordinance at this point? Or do we just vote on
Probably
the
be
ordinance?
cleaner, probably be cleaner that way.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I just got a little bit confusing. So
Yeah.
right now we're just voting to accept the amendments.
Correct.
Right. All in favor of accepting the amendments as stated, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? The amendments have been accepted. So now you have the amended ordinance 2022-R16 for your consideration. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of accepting the amended ordinance 2022-R16, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing that is unanimous, I will ask for a motion to suspend the rules in anticipation that we pass this as amended in the second reading.
Make motion.
I have a motion from, excuse me, BJ Steele to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Says Jackson. Any questions on the suspension? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. So then calling for the second and final reading of the amended ordinance 2022 OR 16, setting the salaries for the city employees. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion made by BJ Steele. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ricky Jackson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next up on the agenda is ordinance 22 RR 19, establishing legislative districts for the 2022 census results. That is standard across state, county, and local. We go through a period of redistricting. I believe that the council's attorney has worked on this to get the numbers. The ordinance has been presented to you for your consideration. I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Ruthie Jackson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by J.T. Cox. Any discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Entertain a motion to suspend the rules and pass on second reading.
Make a motion.
Motion made by B.J. Steele. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Ruthie Jackson. Any discussion on suspension? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And then calling for the second and final reading of the redistricting 2022 OR 19. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Ricky Jackson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by B.J. Steele. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
One sheet.
Aye.
Aye.
Use it all for
Any opposed?
everybody.
It's unanimous.
I'll wait till she approves.
Do you have that one?
Don't let her jump in there.
Oh,
Do we
sorry.
know what the numbers are before we redistrict? Like, how out the balance they were?
Yeah, it's
I mean, it was like shocking.
yeah, it needed,
Like those didn't change at all.
Yeah.
And Brian's made it that, but the other ones were.
it's much more
Yes.
correctly numbered now.
Yes.
Okay, and then finally is the ordinance 2022 OR 20 establishing the salaries for elected officials. Entertain a motion to approve. I believe this is, what, a 5% raise? Entertain a motion to approve.
So motion.
I have a motion by Bill Bertram. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by J.T. Cox. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing that unanimous, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules in anticipation of passing on a second and final reading.
Make a motion.
I have that motion by B.J. Steele. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bill Bertram. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. So then calling for the second and final reading of ordinance 2022 OR 20 establishing the salaries for elected officials. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Ruthie Jackson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bill Bertram. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. I believe that is all of our business before this on the agenda tonight. So if there's nothing else,
I would like to say that, as far as the merit raise goes, I think it's a good idea. Next year, I'm gonna suggest that we have a special meeting or have a discussion so we can have a resolution or ordinance so that everyone's included and everybody knows what can be or can't be available. Just to have that open discussion is what I would like to propose.
I hear you, and I think that's why we have these meetings. That's why I gave the budget in August and gave 5 weeks for discussion before, and I offered to meet with all of you individually over the past 2 months to discuss the issue. But when it comes down to doing the actual performance evaluations, that's a confidential personnel document. And I've actually confirmed with Perry in the city, because I asked our attorney, is the council supposed to be involved in this?
Oh, we don't want to
The
be
answer was
involved in
no.
it. We don't want to be, I mean, we're doing 7% raises. And, you know, there was proposed 7 and 8 and 13 and 23. I want all of our workers to be where they need to be. I'm just saying, we can't do that every year. So if we can just have a discussion if we're gonna do a merit-based raise, and let's say we can do it, and I'm just throwing a number out there, like up to 8% or whatever, just so that we are all on the same page, because I agree that's your job and that's what you do, and I don't wanna know. I don't wanna be in those meetings, but we, at least to know that these were being offered to them. And that way, there's no surprises when we come to budget, is all I'm asking.
Well, it's just very, it's very disconcerting that we have created an excellent environment in the city by rewarding employees whose performance excels. And when it comes down to it, the council members don't know on a daily basis who's coming in late every time, or who has made a mistake that has cost money and then is now on the report and on disciplinary action. You don't know who is willingly crossing department lines without being asked and going above and beyond, performing in a stellar way to make those changes and or to promote the city. That's the supervisors and me. We're here every day, and I get out and work with them at times. I go along with them and have invested a lot of time into understanding them and bringing them up to shape and where they are. And so that's why the system is set the way it is. You guys are the check and balance to the equation. But there also has to be a level of trust that we are functioning as an organization and as a healthy organization. And so that's why you set the maximum amount, and then it's within the executive's decision to say who gets paid what. The salary ordinance that you just passed actually complicates things, because there is an employee who has been recommended, just like several others, for a 13% increase based on performance. This was a measurable idea. I showed you the rubric that I used to rank and measure them and that they get. They all received outstanding marks and were recommended for a 13% increase based on their performance, their job responsibilities, and the current labor market. Now the council has created a situation with this passing whereby I can still give one of them a 13% increase, but the other 4 can only get a 10%. That kind of thought creates potential discord, and that's my job to manage, and I acknowledge that. But that's why it's very important when I give you the draft in August, which I'm committed to do every year, that you get with me within that month and we talk, and I
But by
can be
then, it's
clear.
already been, okay, so that's a no, you don't.
It's
want
a
to meet
draft.
with
In
them.
August, when I give it to you, it's a draft. It's a draft. That's what it's there for, is to have the conversation throughout the month. The good news is we've gotten all this passed. We have approved it. We've met our deadlines. Donna sent today up to Paige at Baker Tilly our levy appeal that you all approved, and so we will move forward. But just keep in mind that we are working very hard to encourage good morale. And now I have to go explain to some employees why they only get 5% when others already received their merit this year. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by J.T. Cox, seconded by DJ Steele. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.